Hi, Nihar. Nihar, you can hear me, right? Okay, great. So thanks, Nihar, for joining in. And yes, we'll start. So we started with the introduction part of the, say, networking, right? But again, I
Yeah,
will just quickly move to whatever we have seen on the demo session, but I will just do a small revision. So if I ask again, what is networking?
yeah. It's like connecting the nodes.
Okay, connecting the nodes.
In a network, like we can communicate from anywhere.
Yeah, connection between the two nodes where we can exchange the resources, right? That is called as the network. Okay, and we have already seen some the terminologies too, right? And this is what we have seen lot in detail, correct? So the terminologies was nodes, links, protocols, topology, services, etc. Right? All that we have seen. Okay. Okay. Now we will be moving to quick, that is as per the syllabus, that is types of the network. Right. So what are the types of the, I will just cover up the common types and the most popular ones. So the more common types are, say, first we have LAN, then we have WAN, then we have MAN, then we have PAN, right? And also we have VPN, right? So this we will cover in detail today, right? Quick, because again, this is the terminologies which we will be using often. So you should be knowing what is the background over here. So first of all, we will take the WAN. WAN as per, okay, if I ask what is WAN, any idea on that? What
Yeah,
is
it's
LAN? Yeah,
LAN
LANs.
is a local area network. WAN is wide area network. LAN is a metropolitan, and I don't know about PAN, and VPN is virtual private network.
Okay. You are absolutely correct. So this is local area network which I was talking about. So it is confined to relatively small geographic area, such as office, school campus, or home. Say if you're working within an organization, right, and within an organization, wherever the setup or you are seated up, right, so the whole office which is connected, that is called as LAN, right?
Okay.
What is man, and that we will cover later when we will reach to that section, but first we will cover up LAN. Okay. Now,
Okay.
this connects computers and devices and they can share resources with the high speed. Now we have low latency. Now what is low or what is latency?
It's nothing but it's there is no, like without delay in getting transferring the data. There's no
Correct.
delay.
Perfect. Absolutely correct. And the LAN network, when we have the local area network, so when we have connect all the computers and devices, and if it is between the same building or office, right? So that whatever the data which we will be transferring will be at the low latency and it can transfer to the high transfer speeds. Now, but there is a catch. Say, suppose if I am having a building over here and another building is, say, uh, let me say 1 kilometer away.
Okay.
Okay. At that time of the scope, that is the LAN, if I connect this through LAN, then what is going to happen? These resources which needs to be transferred, okay, will take lots of time, will take some more time,
Mm.
right? We can, we are able to connect with the laptops. It is can be happen, but the
I,
data transfer will be very slow.
yeah.
There will be a high latency.
Yeah.
Now, because of these reasons, what we do is we will be using next concept that is called as WAN, which we will cover up in the next session. But let me cover up this LAN first. Now, scope, if you see, usually covers few kilometers at a most, right?
Okay.
But here the speed, if or the distance increases,
Yeah.
then
Then.
LAN fails. You can say
Yeah.
in short. And so we
Okay.
have to then adopt more or the say the wide area network where we can cover up more and more say machines, laptops, etc. Right now,
Mm.
Ethernet cables and Wi-Fi. So we can also have or today only when actually I do some consultancy work too. So I had a connection within that particular organization where
Mm.
they actually transferred the broadband from Airtel to Geo. Okay. So
Okay.
Geo has two concepts. One is they have broadband connection and they also have the, I will just write it down over here, broadband connection, and another one is air fiber. Okay. Now, what is the benefit of this one? That is, this is very good for, say, when we are having a LAN connection. But if the area is increasing, right, so then we should be having a proper fiber optic, that is the wires, and through which only we can actually establish a faster connection between the different machines, right? So this is what now air fiber is what? Air fiber is equivalent to like a Wi-Fi, okay? But there is a difference in Wi-Fi and the air fiber. Air fiber is connected to say one single repository through which the whatever the frequency is caught, and then wherever you are moving within the house or say within the there is a limitation over here within the distance, but here the connection will not get lost. That is the best part. That only
Okay.
the condition here it should be that the connection coming from that repository should be at high latency.
Okay.
Okay. But if the speed is low, then you can't do anything. The speed will be low at your end also. But on the Wi-Fi, what is
Okay.
going to happen is, say, suppose your Wi-Fi, you are having a 3 BHK house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your router is placed in between, say, the all the three rooms, right? Now, sometimes what will happen is the router, when you are moving away, at this point, the speed will become low.
Mm-hmm.
But here, these folks are getting higher speed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there can be another connection which we can place. A different router can be placed where when I reach over here, the router or the connection will not be caught from this one, but again, I will get the connection from here. Right. So that is possible. We can do that. But again, the main, again, the negative part over here is I have to invest money for two routers, correct?
Yeah.
But within the air fiber, I don't have to invest. There will be one say instrument given to you where the instrument will be placed. Of course, this will also have some limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you go beyond that limitation, then you will not get the connection properly because your router is placed over there itself. But what is going to happen, the benefit of here is even if you are moving from one room to another room, this is
Mm-hmm.
the connection is not getting lost because you are directly getting the connection from the repository, right? That is the best part over here. Okay. But again, as I said, if the speed is low from the say X machine only or from Geo itself, then your machine or your Wi-Fi speed will be always low, right? So I hope you must have also seen the instruments that Air Fiber or Geo provides, right? So if you can see, you can also go to Google and just search the air fiber tools. You will find out what all tools they are giving over there, right? Okay. Now hardware. Hardware, as I said, we also discussed this in the first, that is network interface card, which we place into it. And once we have that, then only we can connect from one node to another node, right? So this is the main plus point of this one. So through this interface card also, we can also establish the networking within the switches, routers, etc., which we have already seen, right? Now, here the performance, if we come over here, in India, the highest speed is around about 1 GB, right? But if you go to often to say USA or so, you get very high speeds like 25 GB, 50 GB, etc., depending on the service provider. Right? So why this one? Because of the network. Network is what? So the wiring which they are doing. Right?
Okay.
So and another stuff which is in India, we can there because if you are having or if you want higher speed, so you should be investing that much of infrastructure too, right?
Mm.
So, but again, even if I have a higher investment, uh, the countries like India, the speed will always be less because of the amount of the people who are using this internet, right? So the more the people will use your internet, naturally the user latency will grow higher. And once the user latency goes higher, means the speed is going to get less, correct?
Mm.
More and more people are consuming your internet, right? Okay.
Mm.
So there is another way also to do within an organization, that is we can actually have a leased line, right? Lease line will be the dedicated line only for your organization.
Mm.
So here the packets if will not be shared, but it will be thrown only to your organization, whoever is connecting to this. Okay.
Okay.
So this way, what we am doing is I am getting higher speeds.
Mm.
Okay. That is possible, but this requires again very high investment. And that is the reason on the households, people actually don't go for this leash line. Right. So
Okay.
a small lease line will cost you around, say, in Indian rupees, 5 lakhs.
Mm.
This is
Okay.
the minimum amount from where it starts. Right. So this is only applicable if I am having a very big organization. Otherwise, today, wherever you will go, you will find out people are using Wi-Fi only, right?
Mm.
So the concept of leased line is almost gone now, right? So it
Mm,
is that much of investment, people will not like to do it in that way. Okay. Now, LAN, we were doing LAN. Let us come back to now. What is the importance of the LAN? I will just quickly all cover this one. So I will
okay.
not invest much time, but these concepts are very important within the networking. So that is the reason we are just quickly covering this. Okay. Importance of LAN, that is resource sharing. So file and printer sharing. So file, if I want to transfer the file or want to copy and paste, the best example is that suppose you want to uh, say exchange files using WhatsApp, right? So what you do is I can actually transfer the file from one user to another user. How can I do this? Through networking only. Why? Because this guy is connected with the WhatsApp server, and this server or the file is sent to the WhatsApp server, and WhatsApp server will actually send it to the particular user or to the user mobile, and from there the user can actually download that file, right?
Yeah.
So the concept works in this way. And that is the reason, because of this server, you must be also seeing that it always give you that some password or something or some key it will always provide you to. And now what is
Okay.
this key? Because this key is being used for encrypting and decrypting your code or your whatever the content which you are writing.
Okay.
Right? If this key is absent, then you will not be able to read any of the content that is available in the WhatsApp. In India, it is not very strict, but initially, say you must be aware that when there was attack on the say Taj Hotel or so, right?
Mm,
On that moment, our government got very strict and they had to say asked many of the content or the talking which was done between the terrorist over there. So
mm,
this all will be encrypted and decrypted. So this is the best concept where we can understand how the networking is actually working over here that way, right? Okay.
mm,
Now peripheral sharing, scanners, right?
mm,
And we also have storages, repository. Then on the organizations, we will be having servers. And I also gave an example that is suppose if I am sitting on, say, uh, block number 2 in one building and the printer is on block number 7, then also this block number 2 guy can give a print command so that the prints or the if I want to take a print, I can easily take it from there, right? So what is that? Sharing of the peripherals, right? That way.
mm,
Okay. Then high performance and low latency, fast data transfer, right? Smooth communication. Now, smooth
mm,
communication, you must have heard about the VoIP. Have you heard about
mm,
VoIP?
yeah.
So this was actually introduced using the IP addresses. We were able to connect to any one of the user in USA and talk with him.
Mm,
This was initially free of cost, but nowadays there is some cost which is levied on the user, whoever is talking, right? But
mm,
when it was introduced, it was absolutely 100% free. So even today also, you can actually do one thing. Actually, there are many lots of apps available and through which the IP address you can connect and call anybody who is living within the USA. Now, what is all that? That is all the networking through which we can have, right? But this VoIP if you must be saying that okay, this LAN is of the short distance. How I can connect to this? But this is connected through the internet, first of all. Okay. But this VoIP instrument, which is connected through the ISP, right? And through the routers or whatever the machines which they are using, that concept is LAN. Right. So I am having one VoIP, another VoIP is actually within India. And when I
Mm.
connect from one VoIP to another VoIP, this connection happens through internet, right? So this is
Mm.
the whole concept which actually works. Okay, great. Then user authentication and access control. So we can also have a proper user authentication. Like even when the VoIP is there, you will have to give them the say the key or whatever, then only you will be able to talk. So this is how it is used, and this is a way where you can have to pay money, right? Where they will be giving you this key or one four-digit number or whatsoever, and once you will fit into, you can start talking from there, right? So this is how the whole system works. Okay. Data backups and monitoring, which is actually useful for the product development company, or if we are having any websites, right? So we can have a proper data backup from them, right? Cost efficiency, this is actually bulk procurement of networked hardware and shared licensing lower per cost. So LAN is whenever we will purchase LAN, obviously with connection, or if I'm comparing to WAN or so, their cost will be less, right?
Very
So
good
it
point,
is,
Ravi.
it will be cost effective, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Then reduce infrastructure duplication, that is one set of printers or storage servers, many users. Now, as I said, the duplication, how the duplication, say, suppose I am having one printer, another, these are the machines which is placed, say, this is on the first floor, this is on the fifth floor, this is on the seventh and the eighth, right? Now, what is going to happen? Each will be having a unique IP.
Yeah.
uh, So through this unique IP, the duplication is removed. So if the eighth guy will just fire the print command, so this printer will come to know that okay, it has been fired from this number or from the person who is in the eighth floor, and I have to take out the prints from there, right? So the duplication is removed because there is one all the unique IPs which are given, right? That way.
Okay.
Okay. Then easy expansion, additional devices can be added within minimum recognition. So you can add any number of devices. Why? Because the IP addresses are easily available and easily assigned, right? And say 192 and 168, etc., etc. So these all are reserved for the local network itself, right? So they
Okay.
are not given to the uh, WAN or to the other areas. Okay. So
Mm.
those IP address will be different and the LAN IP address will be different. So that is the reason when I am assigning or say adding any machine to the network, it gets easily assigned to the network. But nowadays, even if the locals or the Windows, or if I'm having an operating system like Linux or whatsoever, so most of them have a concept called as plug and play, right? So when I connect direct to the network, it immediately connects to the network after having all the configuration done quickly, right? So this is how the whole networking actually works. Okay. Now,
Mm.
flexible topologies, now star, ring, mesh layouts. So these are all the layouts through which star layout is actually what say will be having in the format of this star
Start.
layout, right?
Mm,
And then we will be having ring layout means like this way. So star layout means suppose if a person is over here, then again over here, then again over here, over here. So the wiring is going according in the star direction. Okay.
mm,
And if it is in the circle direction, so the will be in this one. So if
mm,
I say, if I ask you one question, I have a star topology, I have a circle topology, then I have a mesh, and also I have a linear topology. So you tell
okay.
me where the connection will be more faster
And the mesh technique, like the topology.
on the this linear topology, right? Correct? Why? Because
Okay.
here the internet cable has to move around the circle. Here it has to just go from one end to another end. Correct?
Mm,
So
mm,
then this connection actually compared to others will be lot more faster. But this is not possible because we are actually having the buildings built in that way where straight line, suppose if I am having the whole office straight line, that is not possible, right? Otherwise, I have to
mm,
cover the larger, say, area, that is larger land, if I say, which is
mm,
again next to impossible today. Correct?
mm,
So that is the reason we have to use different topologies where we can have a proper network connections. Correct?
mm,
Okay. So this is how we actually move ahead. Then, okay. So this was all about the LAN. LAN again. Okay. Let us actually have a use case for the LAN also. Now, why I'm taking the use cases so that you know when to use LAN and when not to use LAN. Like scenario, a mid-sized design company agency with 50 employees. So if it is 50 employees within that organization who are just within one office and the office is huge, so the best will be a LAN network should be done, right? Which will also be a cost effective from there, correct? Then
mm,
what all the things can be connected? File server, then centralized print services, VoIP telephony. If you have used this VoIP, have you used VoIP any moment of time in any organization or so?
mm,
Okay.
mm,
So initially this is actually gone today. We are not using oftenly, but initially before we used to have WhatsApp or all these type of connections, VoIP was very, very popular. So what we used to do is we used to dial and connect. So everybody in the USA used to have the VoIP phone. So
mhm,
we were easily able to connect to the different clients and call them and talk with them instead of connecting with the different chat machines or doing the say video streamings. Why again this VoIP was very popular? Because video streaming and all that stuff on the older days, they were not so very fast because we used to have
mm,
that lag time, right?
yeah.
Now it has become very fast and it is better to call them in that way than to use the VoIP, right? But VoIP and conferencing means that is I am having 20 phones connected through the one phone. Means this is called as conferencing, which you can also do now through your mobile,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah.
So this is how we actually go ahead now. Application streaming again like 3D rendering tools, right? Or the uh, video streaming, you can also say. Video streaming is the best example today again always, which has become, say, alias name for the video streaming, that is YouTube, right?
Mm.
So this
Mm.
is what we can actually go ahead and have an example. Then the network based backup and disaster recovery. Now, this land network or the disaster recovery, which was actually very, very important in the old legacy time, because we used to use CDs and then pen drives and then the hard disk for saving the whole data, right? Because on those days, we did not have the concept called as cloud, right? Today, cloud has made the life very easier, where at one button click I can scale my whatever the storage space I want, right? That is the best part over here, right? Now, but again, on the older days, right, we used to have the disaster recovery. We had to take backups from there, right? Overnight backups were placed. Now, disaster recovery is like, say, suppose if you are within an ISO company, right? So there is a rule like that whenever you are creating any product or website or so all the data should be stored within the different repositories, CDs, etc. Right. And if the data is stored, so those CDs also have to be stored where within a safe also, and it should be earthquake resistant. Right. So today, this concept has been absolute. Nobody uses that because we already have the cloud where we can place it and it is well managed from there. Right. So that is the reason we don't go for. Now the disaster recovery definition has like, say, if the say if you are on the cloud server and your server or your cloud instance crashes, right? So then what? For that, you should have some disaster recovery, right? So today, a small image is created which will have all the data, and that image is generally getting transferred from one machine to another machine within the cloud server, and then we are up. Right? So it has become so quick now, right? That is what is all about it. The disaster recovery tools, etc., already are available within the cloud server, and most of the tools will be available on the Amazon Web Services, right? Where you can actually often go and have all these type of tools, right?
Mm.
Okay. So, this is what was LAN. LAN, if I give some examples, okay, let me give some quick examples also for the LAN. So, if I, before I come up with the content, any idea on the LAN examples? Which LAN examples you can provide?
Like, um,
Yeah. So today within the home network, right?
yeah,
So we have the smartphones, smart TVs, IoT TVs,
yeah,
etc. So smart TVs, best example, you must be having an Android TV today, right? Where
yeah,
you are connected with the different apps, right? And using those apps, you can actually watch any kind of the, say, programs or whatever you want to, right?
yeah,
Then Office network is another example which we were discussing right now. Campus LAN is a best example if I say university. Right?
yeah,
So university from one campus to another campus, we can have a good LAN connection established. But again, the LAN or the university or the block should be not beyond that limitation. Right?
yeah,
It is within the same area or
yeah,
within the same, say, because if I'm purchasing such a large land, It should be within the same range where it can connect from one machine to another machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Retail store, so that is a point of selling, inventory scanners, back offices, servers, etc. Right.
Yeah.
So this is very a common thing to understand. And
Yeah.
small data LAN is blade server and the storage areas with high speed switching, VLANs for security and this one. So this server is mostly used for security purposes. Yeah. So they are interconnected so that we can actually have the high speed switching. Now, this blade servers are mostly used for gaming tools where we have to provide lots of, say, switching from one end to another. Switching in the sense what say, suppose if I have launched one game and it is on one instance and there are lots of users playing on this instance. So the next again the instance will get where the users will start getting switched from this one. And who will be managing all this, monitoring this? So the blade servers and all those things that will just keep on monitoring over here, right? That way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, virtual LANs are also the virtual LANs means the LANs which are not physically present but are within the memory. So this is how the blade server will actually transform from one end to another end, right? So yeah, okay. Now, after this LAN, we will come up with the okay WAN WAN. So
Okay.
I will try to cover it as quickly as possible. Yeah, right. So this is wide area network. Now, wide area network, the best example which we can say is telecommunication,
Okay.
right? And you can also say the communication. Okay, so you must have seen the railway stations,
Yeah.
right? So railway stations, whenever the say a train is moving on, so I you must have seen or within the YouTubes, say the driver makes a connection within the say the wherever the control of this railway system is, right? So how is that is happens with the using of the wide area network. Okay. So this wide area network mostly can be done by the using the frequencies, right? So telecommunication also works on the concept of pulse dialing and the tone dialing, right? You should be aware of this one, right? Okay. Now telecommunication actually can be called, or when I'm calling this today, WhatsApp, we can use WhatsApp and call on any one of the phones, right? So without any charges, which say in 1970s, 80s or 90s, right, we were not able to even think of, right? That we
Yeah.
will be able to call without using all these dialings, right?
Mm.
So, so this is what is again the importance of the WANs. And so WAN bridge those local network to enable seamless data connections. Now, if I have this building, okay, say it is name is SCA. Again, if I go 5 kilometer away, again and another SCA building is there. And again, if I am going, say, 10 kilometer away, so again the SCA buildings are there. So which is connecting from one end to another end. That can be considered as a WAN. Right? So small, but again here, this is having a LAN connection. This is having a LAN connection, but from this to this and this to this, we are having a WAN connection. Clear? So this